giving J-Mo the ball. It's still – we can get off the subject. It's just funny. It's just funny. I love it.
Well, J-Mo don't deserve the ball. Let's be honest.
Right. Okay, Mel, I'm curious. So most of us think the trajectory is this year, okay, get to the playoffs, see where you go. Is it fair to look at it and say this is a young team that is on the rise and maybe next year is the year that is targeted to have the biggest success? Because you just don't see teams just show up out of the blue and just kind of make deep playoff runs and win the Super Bowl. I think that this year is to hopefully break the long-standing playoff drought, get the win, see where you get this roster a lot of experience in the postseason, and then next year take your chances and load up and have the opportunity. Do you feel like this window is opening now, just now opening, or do you feel like, you know what, we got to still continue to be patient because it does take a little bit of time for some teams to develop? Where do you see this window of opportunity? How long do you think it lasts for this Detroit Lions team?
Yeah, I think it's a realistic expectation is just for them to get to the playoffs and win a playoff game. I think that's realistic. Yeah, they are young, so they don't have a lot of playoff experience. And, you know, the game is different. You know, there's training camp speed, then there's preseason speed, then there's regular season speed, and then there's playoff speed. So the intensity ratchets up another level once you get into the playoffs. So they're going to have to learn how to play in the playoffs and learn how to win. You know, it's very difficult to win in this league anyway. And they're going to have to learn how to play in the playoffs and have to learn how to win. And they're a young team. And they are, you know, when you talk about the Philadelphia Eagles and the players that they have, you know, they are a few players away. I mean, they are a few dogs away, especially on the defensive side of the ball, on being able to really compete with some of these guys in the NFC. Now, I think they can make a nice run and get an opportunity to go to – I think they can go to the playoffs, and I think they can win a playoff game. Would it be great for them to win a Super Bowl? Yeah, but, you know, I'm realistic. So for them to make it to the dance, go out there, win a playoff game, I think that would be great, especially if they were able to host a home playoff game. I think that'd be fantastic for the city. And I think that would be a lot for them to build off of, and they could come back the following year with some realistic expectations of being able to go out there and win the whole thing, because they would have had that experience to learn from and to lean on when they find themselves in that situation again.
Mel, I'm real curious your thoughts, because it's one of the biggest topics that people talk about is the quarterback position. You got JG, who really embodies everything that I think Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes would like, a guy that was considered a cast-off, but he's entering that situation where this is a guy that probably needs to win a playoff game, showcase that he's the guy in order to earn that $45 million contract, that big contract. And if he wins a couple playoff games, it's going to be hard to sell to this fan base that this guy doesn't deserve $50 million. When you look at your philosophy of roster construction, one of the biggest debates people have is, well, teams like the 49ers can splash and get Christian McCaffrey, can get Chase Young, and maybe even pay him because their quarterback is on a rookie deal. Now, I don't think Brad Holmes is going to turn the football over to Hendon Hooker next year with this roster and where they're at. I think that Brad Holmes found his quarterback that he can mold, that he's kind of built this team around, and embodies everything that the head coach likes, real gritty, and is growing as a player. But that $50 million, however it's constructed, is going to probably be a little bit part of a reason as to why maybe some players don't get paid. So what do you think about quarterbacks? Do you like the philosophy of drafting a young quarterback and building a good team around him? Or if you got the guy in JG and you believe you can develop him and continue to potentially see what he can do you pay the man $50? Do you make him the highest paid quarterback in the league? Because it would have a lot of impact on this roster.
You know, I think the owners have got this thing all screwed up with the way that they're paying quarterbacks and they're paying wide receivers right now. And, you know, wide receiver touches the ball maybe 8-10 times a game. Maybe they don't want to pay a running back because of usage. You know, what they call usage. I mean, you want to give the guy, you know, you have a running back to have 250 to 300 touches, but you don't want to pay him any money. Obviously, the quarterback is real important. Back when I was playing, you know, the highest paid guys were running backs. A running back, you know, that was a position to play. Then all of a sudden we shifted because we wanted more scoring in the game. The quarterbacks, and we changed the rules and different things of that nature so we could have a lot more scoring. And then and have a little more excitement. So passing is a little bit more exciting. We've gotten more proficient at passing. You know, if a guy was completing 55% of his passes, that was good back in the day. Now you got to be completing somewhere between 65, 70%, even 70% on your passes to be considered a good quarterback. Now, do I think Jared Goff is an elite quarterback? No. I think he's the right quarterback for this particular team. I think they're going to have to find a way in which to keep his salary manageable so that they can continue to build out this team. What happens when you have these guys on the rookie contracts, you can pay players in other places, and you can also have depth on your team. Once you allocate that kind of money in your salary cap to a quarterback, once you get $50 million in that area allocated to a quarterback, things are going to have to suffer. You look at Seattle. Once they gave Russell Wilson all that money, guess what? You no longer had the Legion of Boom. They had to break up the Legion of Boom because they couldn't afford to pay the Legion of Boom. Then they didn't have the same defensive rotation on the defensive line. So Brad Holmes, I think, is smart enough to realize that, yeah, Jared Goff is going to be his guy probably for the next 2 or 3 years because they have a very unique window that they're in right now, and they can transition Hendon Hooker right on in there, get him some time to watch from and learn from a true professional. But they're going to have a delicate dance that they're going to have with Jared Goff, and trying to figure out a way in which they can pay him and be respectful to him, but at the same time not that it's not hindering them from being able to continue to build that roster.
Okay, last 9 games, we got a situation with this football team. How do you guys see this situation playing out? Do the Detroit Lions end up being the number 1 seed? Because it's very important. You look at it, it's the 31st ranked schedule. They have the perception is the schedule is easy. I'm very curious as to what you guys think in regards to the schedule and how the Lions are going to shake out the second half of the season. Walt? Oh, you're muted, Walt.
Look at me, being respectful. Yeah, I think they have a legitimate shot, even though Philly has a tougher schedule. I believe finish things out. They got 2 games with the Cowboys. They've got don't they have? I think they have Frisco as well, don't they?
They have Frisco and the Chiefs. They have the Chiefs.
Frisco and the Chiefs. Yeah. So yeah, the Eagles have a tougher road. Frisco also. Now all we have to do is just make sure we can avoid some of those fall asleep games. We got 2 games against the Bears. That's a divisional game. That's still up in the air. Those games, either one of those games could go either way. The Minnesota Vikings always play as tough, despite Kirk Cousins not being there anymore. You never know how those types of games play. We got Green Bay on Thanksgiving. That trip out to LA to play the Chargers can be a very sketchy game as well. We got a trip to Dallas on a Saturday, week 17. So I think, and then also the New Orleans Saints, even though some people, I'm not one of them, but some people do view the Saints as a tough matchup. I don't think this is the same Saints team that people remember going back 10 to 15 years ago. Breeze isn't there. Sean Payton isn't there. A lot of that stuff isn't there anymore. The offensive line has been broken up, a lot of those pieces. The defense isn't really the same. And you're looking at Derek Carr and some other pieces. So as long as Detroit doesn't drop the ball, which is hard because you're talking about in the second half of the season, you're looking to really hit your stride. This team made it to 6-2 in the first half of the season with a bunch of injuries. And I applaud them for that because they made it out of that injury-riddled first half of the season 6-2. It's going to be difficult. Even though I think the schedule is soft, finishing the season out, it's still going to be difficult because you're talking about some of these teams will still be competing for playoff position. So as long as they can limit the pitfalls, I think they have a shot. But I don't believe the Eagles are going to lose 2 more games. I really don't. I think that Philadelphia Eagles team is tough. I think they're really battle-tested. They have multiple ways they can beat you. They have a dominant defensive front that goes deep. They have a dominant offensive line, and they can run the football. So I think it's possible. I just think that the pitfalls, especially when you're dealing with a young team like ours, those second half of the season pitfalls can be kind of scary. So I would say more than likely they'll finish second because I think Frisco is going to probably drop a couple more games.
Joe, what do you think?
All right. Well, I unlike Walt, I think the Eagles have murderer's row in the next couple weeks. Think about these games. They play the Cowboys next. They play the Chiefs. They play the Bills. They play the 49ers. They play the Cowboys, and they play the Seahawks. Literally, they are going murderer's row. Because, like, if you think about it, those are some of the best teams in the league right there. The Chiefs, the Bills, the Cowboys. I mean, Cowboys, Prescott, he's kind of back and forth, but the Seahawks are a pretty damn good team. There's a chance they drop some. And the Lions, they just have to keep they can't drop the games like Walt was saying. They can't drop the games that they fall asleep in, you know? One of the games I do think that they have to watch out for is the Chargers, obviously, because I think Justin Herbert's pretty damn good. But Brandon Staley, he'll hand you a victory, so that's not a big deal. But he was talking about the Saints, and only thing I can say about the Saints, now they were my Super Bowl pick, and I feel stupid for it. But they do have a great defense. They do have Cameron Jordan. They do have Lattimore as their cornerback. They have some pieces, but they're just kind of a defunct, kind of broken down car right now. So I think there's some games that you have to look at, especially on the road with the Saints, the Chargers, and the Cowboys. But besides that, like, you just have to keep your foot on the pedal because the teams that you're playing, you're way better than in every facet. So I think they have a good shot. The number 1 seed, will I think they get it? I don't know. I think San Francisco is going to make a run, to be honest.
Yeah, I gotta say, y'all call it murderer's row. Y'all call it murderer's row. Why can't it be called playoff caliber teams that are going to prove that we can play? See, it's only like a Lions fan to want the easiest schedule and want the easiest ref.
That's not what I'm saying.
Want the easy. I know. Look,
that's not what I'm saying.
If they got murderer's row, they play the Chiefs, the 49ers, the Seahawks. They play
all those teams got issues too.
Look, at the end of the day, you want your team to be battle tested. Okay, so when the playoffs come, all those teams that they face, they're gonna see again. I feel like this cupcake schedule. Where you only got to watch for the Saints and the Chargers for the next 9 games is a complete hindrance to where this team can go.
I agree.
You need to be, when you go to the Ravens and you put up 6 points in Baltimore, that tells me you cannot hang with certain teams. That tells me there's a different level of football that you're not at. And I need as many reps against the elite players, the elite quarterbacks, as I can get, because I don't expect David Carr or I don't expect him to throw for 390 on you. We've got the perfect situation to please the fans. This is not the perfect ideal situation if you're a tough caliber, tough-minded, bite kneecaps football team. This cupcake schedule is going to hinder you because you're going to think you're better than what you really are. And when you go to the NFC Championship game, because you're going to get a win over Dallas, when you go to the NFC Championship game, you're going to get hit in the mouth because it's a different level of football.
But I think at the same time, they got to learn that, though. And then when they learn that, they'll remember that this is not a final. This will be a final product this year, but they have to see it first. They got to see what Aiden looks like when he gets pressured, when he has the moment on him. They got to see what the likes of Anzalone, Jack Campbell, Derek Barnes, what they can do when the pressure is the hottest. And I think when we look at it right now, the Lions and their schedule, they had a nice run of defeating those teams by double digits. But I think later on, the second half of the year, the competition will get a little bit tougher as teams are going to be giving the Lions their best shot. And you look at it and you say, okay, the Lions are a team now that people know about. They know it's going to be a physical game. And one staple I think that has made the Lions successful has been running the football. If David Montgomery comes back, that travels. You can control a lot of teams by being able to run the football and having the way which they play. Because you look at it and you say, well, how do the Lions want to win games? They want to go and they want to run the football, take calculated shots, and maybe one deep threat shot to JMO to kind of extend the game a little bit. So that kind of game is a playoff game. And that's kind of how the Lions have been approaching it. And that's why I think next year you'll have a team that's battle tested. This year, I think, is more about gaining more experience and getting a lot of W's against teams that you are just naturally better than. But I do think that in the NFL, you look at it and you say, look, the Lions don't control who they play on their schedule, and they're not going to control who's healthy when. So those games will be competitive. I think the game against Denver will be sneaky competitive. I think the games against the Vikings and the Packers will still be competitive. But I think in the end, the Lions are just simply better, and they're going to end up having a lot of victories and ending up being probably the number 2 or number 3 seed. And yeah, it may not be ideal to be playing this kind of schedule, but I just think that the way the Lions play is kind of indicative of what it looks like in the playoffs.
Do you guys realize that Jahmyr Gibbs is leading the team? Sorry for my throat. It was just on the 12th line on the field there. Jahmyr Gibbs is leading this team with 399 yards with less touches than Monty. He has 76 touches, averaging 5.3 a carry, and Monty has 94. He's a little bit behind him with 385, averaging 4.1. This team is predicated of having a play action. Jared Goff is a play action quarterback. He is a system quarterback. You saw him throw to I can't remember the DB's name, but he, picked 6 us, only 2 points.
Marcus Peters.
That is it. I am not still sold on paying like John said. Do you want to pay him $50 million, guys? Do you really want to pay him $50 million? Teams that have a quarterback under their rookie deal are usually the teams that are contenders. Yeah. So, that's I just don't know. Do we want to go and be back in that same with Stafford? We've seen this forever. We had a great quarterback, right? But we can never get over to the hump. And you always see these teams with, like Colin Kaepernick, a rookie quarterback, come in and dominate the league. I don't know if I want to take 2 steps back and build all this draft capital that we did to go back and be the same old Lions. But I shouldn't even have said that. But we're going to end it up here. I want to say thank you to. I'm going to go right here. I want to say thank you to everyone that comes on the show. We're hitting the 1 hour mark. Thank you, Avery, a good friend of mine. I love you, brother. John,
me too, man.
John, I love you too. You're the best. Actually, you're the best. And here's the take master here. Thank you so much. And this is my boss here. He runs you are. You allow us to have probably we're going to be about 1.2 in views today. And last but not least, Melfar Jr., you're awesome, man. Damn. These guys are all going to be friend requesting you and everything. And I don't think you've ever, I watched Scott's show and you're awesome on there. Good for you, man. If you want to come back on the show again, you're always welcome.
Thank you for your first perspective. We appreciate it.
Yep. Yeah, John,
appreciate it.
John, you finish it off with the last take and unless anybody else has something to say.
Yeah. Find me at All Lions. All you got to do is type in si.com/NFL/Lions. This week with the bye week, we're doing the mid-season review, kind of looking at everything with the rookies and everything going on. I appreciate being on here and talking with you guys. It's a good debate. Avery, Walt, Joe, Mel, it was great. I love having the opportunity to kind of bridge the gap a little bit, learn from others that have been in the game and have different perspectives. You guys brought it today, and I'm appreciative to kind of get the sense too that the community of Lions fans is growing, and it's growing loud. And I love to see the Blue Sea. I mean, the videos of seeing the Lions traveling on the road and causing a ruckus has been some of the most enjoyable things to see, because the Lions Nation has been dormant for a while, but it's growing. And I think that the opportunity to have deeper discussions about football, X's and O's, real good insights from everybody. And I can't wait to see how this story finishes this year. But I do think it's just the beginning. Brad Holmes is showing that this is a situation that maybe is not going to be one and done. And this could be the start of something super special. And I'm appreciative to be here, and can't wait to talk more about it and have some more debates.
See you guys. Love you. One pride. Let's go.
Do your best. Let's go. Lions on 3. 1, 2, 3. Lions.